minutes, and then you play a good first half, and then 10 minutes after halftime again you concede. So we get knock after knock after knock, which is hard, but that's why I keep saying that, especially when that happens, we have to keep fighting, and that's what we've done so well last season, and what this club is about for so many years, and that's what we expect. The minimum what I and we expect is that we do this over 90 minutes, which is not always easy if you get knock after knock after knock.
How did you sleep last night?
What do you think?
Not so well.
No, not the best.
Not the best to sleep. Well, look, as we mentioned, Jamie Carragher believes Slot has just 1 week to save his Liverpool job after a dismal run of form. Now, speaking in the Telegraph, this is what Jamie Carragher's had to say. Arne Slot has a week to save his job. It's hard to believe that sentence is being written, but Liverpool's next 3 games are against West Ham United, Sunderland and Leeds United. Anything fewer than 7 points will make an already unacceptable situation untenable. No matter how much goodwill the manager has, Liverpool Football Club cannot sustain the drop in standards witnessed over the past 3 months. Slot won the Premier League in his first season. He seemed destined for a long stay on Merseyside too. Now, just 6 months later, he is hanging on, he says. And he goes on to say, no one wants to sound like a killjoy, but the time to arrange parties in Ibiza and Dubai was after the final game against Crystal Palace, not before. At best, the downing of tools before the season was over was willfully unprofessional. At worst, Liverpool behaved like a small club winning the title for the first time. Goodness me, Stephen Kelly. What do you think of those comments from Jamie Carragher? Do you agree with the fact that he feels he's got like a week to save his job, Arne Slot?
No, I get the point with the 3 teams they're playing. So you think if you lose all 3 games to those opposition, that's the standards that Liverpool have set over the last few seasons. That's not acceptable, and what they've done already this season. But I feel surely he's got more time. Like everything that's gone on with Liverpool this year, everything happened this summer with Jota, I just feel like there's something going on in the background that's causing and affecting the team, affecting the squad, that seems to be hard to pinpoint, but no one wants to point a finger or blame it on something, because you don't want to accept that as an excuse, but potentially could be. And I think Carragher coming out with the comments now, it seems extremely harsh. I know he's been quite positive about Liverpool and backed them a lot, but it just feels like it's come out big time. Unless he knows something from internally that we don't know, potentially he's got some word that, Slot's under severe pressure this week, and if it doesn't work out. But I think it's really, really harsh criticism of a team that he knows is being through quite a lot, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, they certainly have had a torrid time off the pitch in terms of the summer. And you mentioned Diego Jota in his death. Obviously, that's taken some effect on the team. And perhaps we're seeing the impact of that quite severely at the moment. In terms of what Slot was saying today as well, he's talked about, he never sort of overly praises individuals. He always talks about the team. But is there an argument to say that actually the team as a whole just aren't playing? Not individuals. You could almost say the team as a collective.
Well, that is
getting it right.
It is. There is a team. There's a collective in it, and it seems there's usually with Liverpool, if 1 or 2 players drop, the rest of them will pick up that slack. And the players that usually pick the slack are Mo Salah and Van Dijk. So they're the ones they've relied upon so heavily over the last few seasons to be their walls, their steadies, their players that are 8, 9s out of 10s every week, and they've just dropped that standard. And if those 2 players are dropping the standards, then the people around and don't have the same stature them within the club to be able to raise the tempo. That's my opinion. So when you look at that and you feel that they've dropped and everybody else has dropped, but I just don't think you can underestimate the effect of what's happened on them. And like it's very, you can't measure, I don't think. And how does the manager even deal with that? How does he go into the change room and say, is the reason things are going so bad and we're in this situation because we've had a lot of new faces coming in. Those players haven't performed to the level. They're at the money they've been bought for is astronomical for anybody, but for Liverpool as well, who are not seen as a team that go out and spend huge sums on players. So the pressure they've come in to not hit the ground running, also they're replacing a deceased member of the squad, which is, you can't, it's very hard for me to even to take that as a concept, how that would play on you. So you're not only you're coming in to replace someone, you're replacing someone that's not there anymore. So I think there's so much more factors to this than just Liverpool being poor on the pitch, and it's very hard for the managers to even address it. But those player standards have dropped, and whether they can pick them up, I'm not too sure, but they're not even that far off the Champions League places. Like, I don't think anybody's run away. Arsenal aside.
No, it's a bunched.
You're 4 or
group,
5
isn't it?
points away from a Champions League position, so 3 or 4 games back to back puts you right back up there. So I don't think it's all done and dusted yet. It is disastrous for Liverpool in the sense of where they are as a team and how they've been last season. But I think it's achievable to get back up to some level of decent standard and be back in with Champions League football.
As we know in football, it's always kind of the manager that's the fall guy, and all this speculation probably surrounding his future now probably won't help things either. We saw what happened at Manchester United when Sir Jim Ratcliffe came out and publicly backed Ruben Amorim. There was a swift uptake in events. Do you feel that's something that the Liverpool hierarchy need to do now and come out publicly and back on?
I almost feel they do have to do it, because where do they go to if it's not Slot at the moment? Because you look at the market, look who's out there, and realistically there's not many candidates that can come in and be that instant impact straight away. I don't feel. I think Zidane is out there and potentially maybe someone like that, but realistically, supposedly he's nailed on for the France job, and that potentially is something he wants. So who is your go-to person in this situation? You have to try and pull someone out of a job, and you look at Man U, they pulled someone out of a job that didn't want to go this early, and it's taken him a long time to even get to even keel really with that. And he's still getting a lot of criticism. So I'm not too sure there's many candidates out there to go in. So I think if you're Liverpool, you just back them. You go on behind, say, we've won the league, we've got players, we've put the money into his hands to go and bring them in. So hopefully he can get something going.
In terms of a fullback yourself, do you know, the departure of Trent Alexander-Arnold seems to be a bit of a problem with them. I know they've got injuries as well, but Szoboszlai seems to be slotting back into that right back position. They're playing him out of position. It all seems to be, falling apart. Yeah. Do you feel that that's a big factor in their
it's huge, but I don't see Trent as a fullback. I see Trent as almost like Kevin De Bruyne. When Kevin De Bruyne was going towards the end of City dropped off a cliff almost because of his performance levels. Trent is that good a playmaker that I almost don't see him. I know defensively always has those frailties, but defensively Liverpool are not great at the moment anyway. But his vision, his passing ability, his attacking sense, and it's not even about how many assists he got a season. Sometimes it's the pass that leads to the assist, and his vision and his quality on the ball. And you're telling me that if you're Mo Salah and you've played behind arguably the best passing fullback almost to play football, I think. There's not many players I've seen in that position pass the ball better than Trent. To lose him behind you is going to have a direct impact on your performance levels, because Salah would make a run and the ball would be there. Regardless of where he ran or when he did, he would just know it was going to be there, or he'd go inside to leave for Trent. And so that impact on the way they play and how they play, defensively is one thing, but his attacking mind, his brilliance on the ball, of course it has an impact.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's see what Dave has got for us now, because you've been looking at their form, haven't you, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's worth just putting into context a little bit, really, how bad the current malaise is at Anfield. And firstly, we're going to take a look at how they compare against the rest of the Premier League. So we've got the form table here over the last 7 games, which does not look good for Arne Slot. Previous results defined by our traffic light system here. Obviously, red is not good. As you can see, Liverpool second from bottom here with 3 points and 6 defeats from their last 7 games. Not looking good for Arne Slot. What about how Liverpool compare to previous seasons after 11 games? So this is their league position after match day 12 over the last 30 years. Now, first thing to note really is that their league position has actually fluctuated quite a bit between seasons. They were 9th after 12 games in 99-2000 under Gerard Houllier. Michael Owen ended up being top scorer that season as Liverpool went on to finish 4th. Fast forward a little bit to 2012-13. That was Brendan Rodgers' first season in charge. Not the best of starts. They were 11th after 12 games. It was another poor start for Rodgers in 2014-15. 12th after 12 games. They ended up finishing 6th that season. And then we're forwarding a little bit further now to Jurgen Klopp's team, who were 9th after 12 games in 22-23. They ended up missing out on Champions League qualification that season, finishing 5th. And then, of course, we come to this season, and they are 12th after 12 games, 6 defeats out of those 12 games. Arne Slot, though, said today that the table could look very different.
Frustration. XG don't always tell you the right story, because I think it's also important when do you get those chances. So and after you concede, you tend to be more open than when you're 1 or 2-0 up. I think when we were 1-0 up against Real Madrid and 2-0 against Villa, we hardly conceded a chance, and that has happened in many more of our games when we were leading. But yeah, when you chase the game, you concede normally more. But I think, use that quote, we don't reward ourselves for good phases of the game or good parts of the game. And this is probably what is best shown in our XG created, because it's ridiculous. Because normally you score more than your XG. The amount of times you see a team scoring 3 or 4 goals from from a low XG value. And then if you see our XG yesterday evening, but yeah, I didn't need XG to know that we missed a lot of chances.
So let's test Arne Slot's XG theory. This is the top half of our Sky Sports expected points table, which is based on our XG formula, thanks to our friends at Monday Night Football. Now remember, expected goals is a measure of the quality of chance creation, and according to our formula, Liverpool should be 5th in the table, level with Crystal Palace and just a point behind Chelsea. So does Slot have a point that maybe their performances have been better than actually the results, Stephen?
Yeah, I think they are. They have created chances. I think the front three that have come in, the players have, like Ekitike is the only one you can see that's really kind of got to grips with the league and got scoring goals. Isak has, you know, what we expect or what we see from him is dropped off massively from his Newcastle days. And they are creating, again, there's wide areas, but sometimes Liverpool create something from nothing. Sometimes Salah can pull a moment out when it's not expected. And I tune for all between XG and how much I like on him. But as a tool to use to say your players, you're doing the right thing, you're getting into the right areas, you're creating chances, it's good for that sense. So I think he has to harp on with that to make sure they continue to do that, because you don't want to feel like that what they're doing is not creating anything. They actually are creating opportunities. It's just whether or not they can put them to bed. And I don't think it will take much for one of those players to hit the ground running and start scoring goals. But the heavy reliance on Salah and Van Dijk, I think has had a problem for them, because those players have always come to the fore in big moments, and at the moment that's not happening.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay.
Liverpool's 4-1 home defeat by PSV at Anfield is not simply another bad result. It is a forensic exposure of the club's current structural and psychological problems. The game turned on a bizarre early moment when Virgil van Dijk handled in the box from a corner, gifting Ivan Perisic a 6th-minute penalty. That shock start forced Liverpool onto the back foot immediately. Dominic Szoboszlai's composed finish from a Cody Gakpo rebound briefly restored parity, but the visitors increasingly dictated the second half with clinical ruthlessness. Guus Til put PSV ahead before Kuhaib Drywic struck twice to seal a humiliating scoreline. Tactically, the match revealed recurring failures. Liverpool neither pressed coherently nor controlled the midfield phases where matches are won and lost. When the Reds tried to press, PSV's vertical passing and quick switches punctured the press. When Liverpool sat deeper, they surrendered initiative and conceded the tempo. Transitions, the very moments Liverpool once dominated, were slow and telegraphed, enabling PSV to regroup and exploit the wide channels. The right side in particular was repeatedly exposed, with delayed cover and poor positional rotation allowing PSV runners into dangerous areas. Individual errors compounded collective issues. Defensive hesitations, missed clearances, and shaky communication invited sustained pressure. Even when goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili produced a couple of smart stops, the defensive structure lacked the cohesion to prevent second-phase chances. Up front, Liverpool's finishing was blunt and their pattern play predictable. Too often, the team relied on individual moments rather than a coherent system to create high-quality opportunities. Beyond the tactics, the psychological dimension is acute. Players looked flat and reactive. Crowd frustration was audible as Anfield's aura felt diminished. Captain-level leadership tried to rally the group, but even senior figures admitted the fight was not there in crucial periods. Manager Arne Slot accepted responsibility in his post-match comments, acknowledging urgent tactical and selection questions. The margin for patient experimentation has narrowed. Practical remedies are evident, but hard. Re-establish a compact midfield spine to protect the backline, tighten fullback instructions to avoid wide overloads, simplify attacking roles so creative players can thrive, and restore consistent match minutes for leading forwards to build rhythm. Liverpool possess the quality to recover, but that recovery demands swift, decisive action. Without it, this result risks becoming the template rather than the anomaly.